Hi friends! Today I want to tell you about a place like no other in the world, Venice. It's not just a tourist attraction, but an open-air living museum, where every street, every cobblestone, and every canal holds centuries of history. When I first arrived here, it felt like I had stepped into another world. A world with no cars, only narrow streets leading to quiet canals, the sound of footsteps echoing on the bridges, and the gentle whisper of water reflecting the echoes of the past. You can wander endlessly here, always discovering something new. Hidden courtyards, old taverns, or grand palaces with weathered facades that still bear the marks of former glory. But before we dive into the atmosphere of Venice, let's take a look back at its past and uncover how this unique city came to be, and what fascinating secrets its history holds. Venice first appeared on the map of the world thanks to refugees. In the 5th century, when the Roman Empire fell, people fleeing the barbarian invasions began to settle on these marshy islands of the Adriatic Sea, seeking refuge in the lagoon, surrounded by water and reeds. They gradually established a settlement. But how do you turn a swamp into a city? The Venetians came up with a brilliant solution. They drove thousands of wooden piles into the ground to create artificial islands. To this day, these very piles still support the city's majestic palaces and churches. By the 8th century, Venice had become an independent republic with its ruler, the Doge, elected for life. The city grew and flourished, turning into a hub of maritime trade between Europe and the East. The Venetians traded spices, silk, glass, and works of art. Their fleet ruled the Mediterranean, and the economy was thriving. By the 15th century, Venice had become one of the most powerful states in Europe, and its architecture and art were experiencing a golden age. Great masters like Titian, Tintoretto, and Veronese created their masterpieces here, while lavish carnivals and masquerades made the city famous as a symbol of luxury and mystery. But over time, the Venetian Republic lost its power. In 1797, it was conquered by Napoleon, and later the city became part of the Austrian Empire. It wasn't until the 19th century that Venice finally became part of Italy. Today, Venice is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the world, but despite the crowds of visitors, it has managed to preserve its soul and unique charm. Curious facts about Venice that will surprise you. As I traveled around Venice, I kept asking myself, how does this city stay afloat on water? Why are there so many bridges here? And why is the water in the canals so green? Let's figure it out. Venice is not just one island, but 118 small islands connected by over 400 bridges and 170 canals. So when I say it's easy to get lost here, I'm not joking. Why doesn't Venice sink? All the buildings in the city stand on thousands of wooden piles driven into the seabed. These piles are made of larch, which doesn't rot in water and actually becomes harder, like stone. However, the city is still slowly sinking, about 1 to 2 millimeters per year. Why is the water in the canals green? The secret lies in the unique mix of seawater and freshwater from rivers, as well as the limestone bottom and algae. This is why the water can appear bright emerald, especially on sunny days. There are no cars in Venice. People here get around on foot or by water. Even the police and emergency services use special boats instead of cars. Take a look at the windows in the old buildings. Many of them have pointed arches and resemble Arabic architecture. This is the influence of Eastern countries with which Venice traded for centuries. And of course, the famous Venice Carnival. It takes place in February and is renowned for its luxurious masks and costumes. On the streets, you can see people who seem to have stepped right out of a medieval fairy tale. Venice is a city full of mysteries and fascinating details. The more I walk around here, the more I realize that it's a place that can never be fully unraveled. Let's explore the main attractions of Venice. Piazza San Marco is the heart of Venice and arguably one of the most impressive squares in the world. Travelers from all over the globe gather here to feel the spirit of Italian history, admire the unique architecture, and of course, feed the pigeons that have become an iconic part of the local charm. What to see here? Sparkmark's Basilica, a true architectural masterpiece. Its golden mosaics shine in the sunlight, and the rich interior is full of intricate details. It's a must-visit spot. St. Mark is the patron saint of Venice, and the basilica named after him is the city's main church and one of the most famous in Europe. Doge's Palace, the former residence of the rulers of Venice, where every room is steeped in history and secrets. Impressive halls, paintings by Titian and Tintoretto, and the famous Bridge of Sighs. All of this leaves an unforgettable impression. Sparkmark's Campanile, the highest point in Venice, 98 meters, offering a stunning view of the city. You can take the lift to the top and it's definitely worth it. Torre dell'Orologio, an ancient clock tower with figurines of wise men and the Lion of St. Mark. Every hour the bells ring, and the mechanisms have been working for centuries. Café Florian, one of the oldest cafes in Europe, where figures like Casanova, Byron and Goethe once sat. It's definitely worth ordering an espresso here, even at the high price. The atmosphere is priceless. Grand Canal, Canal Grande, the main water artery of Venice, winding through the city in an S shape. It stretches for 3.8 kilometers, dividing Venice into two parts and connecting key attractions. If you want to truly experience the magic of this city, a ride along the Grand Canal is a must-do. How to best enjoy the Grand Canal? Gondola, a romantic but expensive option. If you want to feel like a character in an Italian movie, this is the way to go. Vaporetto, water bus, a budget-friendly and convenient way to see everything at once. The best route is Line 1, which runs along the entire canal. Private boat ride, something between a gondola and a vaporetto. Comfort, a great view and good speed. Main palaces on the Grand Canal. Ca' d'Oro, one of the most beautiful palaces in Venetian Gothic style. Its name translates to Golden House, and inside you'll find an art gallery featuring Renaissance masterpieces. Palazzo Barbaro, a place where famous personalities, including Henry James and Claude Monet, once stayed. The atmosphere of Old Venice is especially strong here. Palazzo Vendramin Calergi, an elegant Renaissance palace. Composer Richard Wagner spent his final days here, and today the building houses a casino. Palazzo Dario, one of the most mysterious palaces in Venice. Surrounded by legends and mystical stories, it's said that all its owners faced misfortune. Ca' Arazzonico, a museum that immerses you in the atmosphere of 18th century Venice. If you want to see how the aristocracy of that time lived, this is the perfect place. When is the best time to explore the Grand Canal? At dawn, minimal tourists, gentle morning light, and the city just beginning to wake up. In the evening, a romantic atmosphere with lights reflecting on the water. Rialto Bridge, Ponte di Rialto. Not just a bridge, but a true icon of Venice. It's the oldest and most famous bridge across the Grand Canal, connecting the San Polo and San Marco districts. Standing at the top, you're treated to a panoramic view of the canal, with gondolas, vaporettos, and historic palaces. Pure magic. Built in the late 16th century, the Rialto Bridge became an architectural masterpiece of the Renaissance era. Before that, there was a wooden bridge here, but it collapsed several times, so the decision was made to build a stone one. Fun fact: when architect Antonio da Ponte presented his design, it was considered too bold, but as we can see, the bridge has stood for over 400 years. On the bridge itself, there are small shops where you can buy jewelry, souvenirs, masks, and even Murano glass items. It's the true atmosphere of a Venetian market. If you stroll a little further, you'll find the famous market selling fresh seafood, vegetables, and fruits. A perfect place to soak up the local life. During the day, it can get quite crowded, as Rialto is one of the most popular spots in Venice. If you want to enjoy the atmosphere in peace, visit at dawn or late in the evening, when the bridge is beautifully illuminated. The Rialto Bridge is definitely a must-see on your list. Ponte dei Sospiri, the Bridge of Sighs, one of the most recognizable landmarks in Venice. This elegant covered bridge, made of white limestone, connects the Doge's palace to the prison and spans the Rio di Palazzo Canal. Built in 1600 by architect Antonio Contino, the bridge served as a passage for prisoners from the courtroom to their cells. The name Bridge of Sighs comes from the belief that condemned prisoners would sigh as they crossed the bridge, casting one last glance at the beautiful city of Venice before being imprisoned. This romantic association was popularized by poet Lord Byron in the 19th century. According to a local legend, if lovers kiss under the Bridge of Sighs on a gondola at sunset, their love will be eternal. This tradition attracts many couples who want to immortalize their feelings in this magical place. If you want to see Venice through the eyes of great artists, you absolutely must visit the Gallery dell'Accademia. This museum is a true treasure trove of Venetian painting, featuring masterpieces by Titian, Veronese, Bellini, Tintoretto, and other Renaissance masters. What should you be sure not to miss? The Storm on the Sea of Galilee, the only seascape ever painted by Rembrandt, created in 1633. The painting depicts a dramatic biblical scene. Christ's disciples struggle against the raging waves, while Jesus sits calmly among them, ready to command the storm to cease. In 1990, this masterpiece was stolen from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston and has never been recovered. It remains one of the most famous missing artworks in the world. The Feast in the House of Levi by Veronese, an enormous, breathtaking painting that once caused quite a stir for its excessive grandeur and festive scene. Saint Jerome by Bellini. Take your time with this work to appreciate how the artist masterfully plays with light and color. The Miracle of Saint Mark by Tintoretto, one of the brightest examples of Venetian mannerism, full of movement, drama, and expressive power. Did you know that the Accademia Gallery also houses Leonardo da Vinci's famous drawing, The Vitruvian Man? Although it's rarely on display due to its delicate condition, just knowing it resides here adds a special allure to the museum. If you're an art lover and want to immerse yourself more deeply in the atmosphere of Venice, the Gallery dell'Accademia is an absolute must on your itinerary. Next, we're heading to one of the most magnificent and recognizable landmarks in Venice, and without a doubt a must-visit spot, the Basilica di Santa Maria della Salute. This stunning Baroque church was built in the 17th century as an offering of thanks for the city's deliverance from the plague. Its name translates to the Church of St. Mary of Health, and to this day, locals still regard it as a protector of Venice. As you approach Santa Maria della Salute, the first thing that catches your eye is its majestic dome, a true masterpiece that dominates the Venetian skyline. The church was designed by the renowned architect Baldassare Longhena, and construction began in 1631. Step inside and you'll discover an incredible wealth of details. Magnificent frescoes, paintings by Tintoretto, and other masterpieces that fill the space with a profound spiritual atmosphere. The church stands right on the edge of the Grand Canal, and you can reach it by winding your way through Venice's narrow streets, or by gliding over the water in a gondola, adding a touch of romance and making your visit even more unforgettable. From the square in front of the church, you're treated to a stunning view of the canal and the elegant buildings that surround it. Every November, Venice celebrates the Festa della Salute, a festival that draws hundreds of pilgrims, who cross a temporary bridge over the canal to reach the church and give thanks for the city's deliverance from the plague. Santa Maria della Salute is not just a church, it's a true symbol of Venetian history and culture. If you want to truly experience the magic of art, you simply must visit Teatro La Fenice. This is not just an opera house, it's a true symbol of rebirth, which, just like its legendary namesake, the Phoenix, has risen from the ashes time and time again. La Fenice means the Phoenix in Italian, and the name couldn't have been more fitting. The theater has burned down 3 times, in 1774, 1836, and 1996, but each time it was rebuilt, becoming even more beautiful than before. The last fire nearly destroyed the building completely, but after 7 years of restoration, the theater triumphantly reopened in 2003, preserving its historic charm and incredible acoustics. What makes La Fenice so famous? The main stage of Italian opera. This is where the works of Verdi, Rossini, and Bellini premiered. It was here that La Traviata was performed for the first time, and it flopped. But it later became one of the greatest operas of all time. A lavish interior, gilded boxes, velvet seats, a majestic chandelier. Everything here breathes elegance and timeless beauty. After the restoration, the theater has kept its historic splendor intact. Concerts and performances, operas, ballets, and symphonic concerts are held here regularly. Even if you're not a fan of classical music, visiting La Fenice at least once is an unforgettable experience. Teatro La Fenice is not just a place where great music lives. It's the heart of Venetian culture, a living legend that has endured for centuries, and one of the most breathtaking venues in the entire city. If you love books, atmospheric places, and a bit of charming Italian chaos, you absolutely need to visit Libreria Acqua Alta, the bookstore of high water. This isn't just any bookshop. It's one of the most photogenic spots in Venice, where literature and water quite literally come together. What makes this bookstore so special? Books in gondolas, bathtubs, and barrels. Venice floods from time to time, and the shop's owner came up with a brilliant way to protect the books. They're stored in gondolas, plastic tubs, and even old boats. When the water rises, the books simply float instead of getting soaked. Genius, right? You'll find everything here, from classic Italian literature to art books, travel guides, and vintage editions that feel like true treasures. In the courtyard, there's a staircase made entirely of old books. Climb it for one of the best views of Venice. And let's not forget the shop's furry employees. Several cats who lazily wander between the shelves or nap on piles of books. They make the place even cozier and more charming. Libreria Acqua Alta is not just a bookstore. It's a real adventure. People come here not just for the books, but for the atmosphere, the charm, and the unforgettable experience. Even if you're not a big reader, this place will win you over with its unique character. If you want to truly feel the power and grandeur of the Venetian Republic, head to the Arsenale di Venezia, once the main shipyard and military hub of Europe. This is where the legendary ships were built that turned Venice into a maritime empire. The Venetian arsenal was founded in 1104 and was the largest shipbuilding complex of its time. Thousands of craftsmen worked here, and ships could be built in just one day, a true medieval assembly line. The entrance to the arsenal is guarded by 2 majestic lion statues, and the complex itself is hidden behind powerful walls. This was a highly strategic location, accessible only to the chosen few. Today, part of the arsenal is still used by the Italian Navy, but it also hosts exhibitions for the Venice Biennale and other cultural events. If Venice is a city built on water, then the arsenal is the place where Venice was born as a maritime empire. Don't miss the chance to visit and feel the spirit of history. And now, let's keep going. In the very heart of the Cannaregio district lies a place with a truly unique history, the Jewish ghetto of Venice, Ghetto Ebraico di Venezia. It was here, in 1516, that the world's very first ghetto was established. Despite its complex past, today it's a charming, atmospheric corner of the city, rich with cultural heritage. What to see? The synagogues. The ghetto is home to 5 historic synagogues, 2 of which are open to visitors with guided tours. The Jewish Museum learn about the history, culture, and traditions of Venice's Jewish community. Kosher cuisine, enjoy restaurants serving traditional dishes. The atmosphere wander through quiet streets, cozy courtyards, and soak in the historic charm away from the crowds. The Jewish ghetto is living history, a place with a special atmosphere that's truly worth experiencing for yourself. If you've already visited St. Mark's Square and enjoyed the views from the Campanile, but are looking to discover something off the beaten path, I highly recommend visiting Palazzo Contarini del Bovolo. This is one of Venice's true hidden gems, tucked away in the maze of streets not far from the city center, and one of the most photogenic spots in town. Hidden in the courtyards near St. Mark's, this palace is famous for its elegant spiral staircase, which resembles a snail shell, Bovolo in Venetian dialect. Climb to the top and you'll find a panoramic terrace offering beautiful views over the rooftops of Venice and the domes of St. Mark. Mark's Basilica. It's a small, but wonderfully charming spot that's well worth adding to your itinerary. Fondaco dei Tedeschi, a luxury department store with stunning views, located right next to the Rialto Bridge in the very heart of Venice. Originally built in 1228, the Fondaco dei Tedeschi once served as the trading hub for German merchants in Venice. The building has survived 2 major fires and was rebuilt into the version we see today. Over the centuries, it has played many roles, from a customs house during the Napoleonic era to the city's main post office. Today, the Fondaco dei Tedeschi is a high-end department store, home to world-famous brands. But even if shopping isn't on your agenda, it's well worth a visit for its cultural events and temporary exhibitions, which are regularly hosted here. The true highlight of the Fondaco is its panoramic rooftop terrace. From here, you'll enjoy breathtaking views over the Grand Canal, the Rialto Bridge, and the rooftops of Venice. Access to the terrace is free, but you'll need to book your time slot online in advance due to limited capacity. If you want to dive deeper into the history of Venice, make sure to visit the Museo Correr, located right on St. Mark's Square. This museum is a true treasure trove for art and history lovers. The collection offers fascinating insights into the history of Venice, featuring paintings, sculptures, and historical artifacts. You'll find works by great artists and learn about the rise and glory of the Venetian Republic. Housed in the magnificent Correr Palace, the museum lets you wander through lavish halls that once belonged to wealthy Venetian families. The atmosphere feels like stepping back in time, immersing you in the splendor of the Renaissance era. The museum also preserves unique historical documents that shed light on the life of the city, its rulers, and its famous citizens. Friends, I've shown you all the major landmarks of Venice. But as you know, Venice is not only about its famous canals and squares. I want to tell you about the islands of the Venetian lagoon. All these islands can be easily visited in a day, taking the Vaporetto, and they are definitely worth visiting, because each one of them is a unique part of the city's history and culture, with its own charm and atmosphere. Burano. The island of colorful houses and lace. Burano is a true photo spot in Venice. A small island famous for its bright, colorful houses and delicate lace craftsmanship. Here, you'll find narrow streets, old workshops, and shops where you can buy unique handmade products. The island is also known for its seafood cuisine. Don't forget to take a photo against the backdrop of the colorful houses. It's a must-do for any traveler. Murano. The island of glass and crafts. Murano is world famous for its glass-making art. On this island, unique glass production methods were invented, and traditional workshops are still in operation today. Take a stroll around the island, visit one of the glass-blowing studios, watch the production process, and of course, buy something unique as a souvenir. Murano is a place where art and traditions come together. Torcello. The island of antiquity and tranquility. Torcello is the quietest and most peaceful island in the Venetian lagoon. It is the place where the history of Venice began. Here, you can see ancient churches and basilicas, as well as stroll through nearly untouched nature. Once the center of the Venetian Republic, today, the island attracts travelers with its atmosphere of solitude. San Giorgio Maggiore. The island with a panoramic view. San Giorgio Maggiore is an island that houses one of the most beautiful churches in Venice. The Church of San Giorgio, with its exquisite facade and magnificent interiors, is not only a religious monument, but also a place offering the best view of Venice. Climb the bell tower and enjoy the panoramic view of the city and the lagoon. Friends, our magical journey through Venice has come to an end. I've shown you the most interesting places that are a must-visit, from the majestic Piazza San Marco to the charming streets of Murano, from the luxurious palaces on the Grand Canal to the peaceful islands where time seems to have stopped. Venice is not just a city. It's inspiration in every reflection on the water, in every sound of waves splashing, in every gaze that glides over a gondola. It's as beautiful as a work of art, inspiring like a good book, magical like a waking dream, mystical like the whisper of ancient legends, and endlessly rich in history, culture, and atmosphere that can't be described. It can only be felt. Friends, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, be sure to leave a comment, tell me which part of Venice touched you the most, and of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new travels and inspiring stories. Goodbye for now. Sending hugs. See you soon in a new city.